course. Here's a completely rewritten version of your story, preserving the emotional depth and narrative arc, but using new wording and phrasing throughout. My name is Emily, and there's something I carry with me every day. A choice I made in a moment of weakness that changed everything. A few words spoken without care, fueled by uncertainty and fear, dismantled the one thing I thought was unshakable, the relationship I had with James. We'd spent 2 years weaving our lives together, building something tender and real. But cracks had begun to form, small ones at first. Misunderstandings, tired silences, too many evenings spent on opposite sides of the room. I kept telling myself it was a phase, that every couple hits rough patches. But deep down, I could feel something shifting, and I didn't know how to stop it. That night, everything fell apart. It was an ordinary Tuesday. I came home exhausted, sank into the couch, and scrolled endlessly through my phone while James cooked dinner. I barely acknowledged the noise coming from the kitchen. The clatter of dishes, the simmering frustration that he wasn't bothering to hide anymore. When he finally joined me in the living room, he didn't sit right away. He stood, arms crossed, eyes searching mine. The air was thick with everything we hadn't said. "Emily," he asked softly, "what's going on? I feel like you're drifting away from me." His voice wasn't angry. It was tired, vulnerable. I should have responded with honesty, with love, but instead, I let my fear speak. I looked away and muttered, "Maybe we're better off as just friends." The words slipped out before I could catch them, before I even knew what they meant. It wasn't how I truly felt. I was scared. Scared we were falling apart. Scared that holding on too tight would only push him further away. I thought saying it might somehow bring clarity or control. I was wrong. He didn't argue. He didn't cry. He didn't even ask what I really meant. James simply stood, turned, and walked out of the room. I assumed he needed space, that we'd talk it through later like we always had. I went to bed that night convinced everything would reset the next day. But the next day came and went. No texts, no calls, no trace of him. I told myself to be patient, but the silence lingered. On the third day, I couldn't wait any longer. My hands trembled as I sent him a message. "James, I didn't mean what I said. I was scared and confused. Please, can we talk?" His reply came later that night. "Emily, I've thought a lot about what you said, and I agree. Maybe friendship really is what we're meant for. I don't think we can go back." Reading that message felt like being punched in the chest. I had expected resistance, maybe even anger, but not acceptance. I thought he'd fight for us. But I was the one who offered the door, and he walked through it. I tried to fix it. I wrote long messages, left voicemails, apologized until the words felt hollow in my mouth. I told him I regretted it all, that we could start again. But he never responded. And when I finally saw him again, at a bar we used to visit, it felt like looking at a stranger. He smiled politely, said he was doing well, then turned back to his friends. His warmth was gone. His eyes no longer held any trace of the man who once held me close during my worst nights. I went home that evening and sobbed like a child. It was over, really over. A few days later, I went to collect my things from his apartment. He wasn't there. The space felt unfamiliar, colder than I remembered. On the shelf was a photo of us, laughing, arms wrapped around each other. I stared at it for a moment, heart aching, then turned it face down and walked out without a word. Now, weeks later, I sit alone in my apartment with too much silence and too many regrets. I still think about him, what he's doing, how he's healing, if he ever thinks about me. I pushed him away thinking he'd stay. I was wrong, and sometimes that's how it happens. One careless moment, one sentence too many, and suddenly, everything you loved becomes memory. I thought I was protecting myself when I let go. But all I did was lose the only person who ever truly saw me. If you're reading this and there's someone in your life who matters, tell them. Hold them close. Because once they're gone, some things can never be undone. Let me know if you'd like a version in a specific tone, more poetic, more conversational, or even formatted for narration.